What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper. And of course, the ACC decided they wanted a new model, 3-5-5, when it came to football schedule. We talked a little bit about it on yesterday's show, but it's always good to have different eyes and different opinions, especially when you're more of a top tier team. Florida State got the good end of the stick for once. So let's talk about it. Can the Seminole fans finally get off my back? Would love to hear it.
Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper. That is not Drake. That is not none of these people that I have named up here. My apologies, Drizzy Drake. Hola, mi gente. We are getting down. The Locked On Seminoles host is here to join me to talk about FSU and maybe getting the strong end of the stick when it comes to good matchups for the next 4 years. As we mentioned on yesterday's show, the ACC has now picked up the 3-5-5 model. There are no more Atlantic Coastal Division rivalries going on. We're all going to be one happy family, and we're going to talk about that today and maybe why Notre Dame will eventually join the conversation. So, Drizzy Drake, how are you feeling?
¿Qué le pasa, mi gente? Everything is good over here. We're getting ready for the weekend. I got LASIK coming up, so I will no longer be needing these because I cannot see anything right now at all. Let me put these back on so I can see you and see my notes in front of me. But no, it's all good with the weekend ahead of us too. And just like I'm excited to talk about some football because the Coastal Division is dead, and I cannot be any happier than that.
You know what? I really wish people stop hating on the Coastal. It ain't been right since Carolina and Clemson matchup when we literally should have won the ACC championship, and maybe Clemson's reign wouldn't have been as heavy. But I digress. I am here for the Coastal's craziness because at the end of the day, you never can guess it, right? I certainly didn't think that Pitt was going to win last season. Damn sure didn't. And to see how they kind of transpired and are coming back with a bang. We also have teams like Wake Forest, who nobody called that undefeated damn near season last year. But now they might be getting on the roll. I did mention yesterday that they probably have the worst of the new 3-5-5 model in that their 3 teams that they'll play permanently will be Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, and Duke for the next 4 years. And I know you get to have I wouldn't call it top tier, but I would say the better halves of the ACC conversation.
We're a blue blood.
Are you a staple? But are you a blue blood ACC? Okay. Cool. Okay.
We might not be in this conference.
We'll
see.
Facts. Seminoles fans already. I just feel the hype coming, the tension. I don't need it today. So you guys are facing off against Clemson, Miami, and Syracuse. And while Syracuse, of course, is not the opponent of old, they definitely don't have the program that is of the same caliber as the other two. Clemson is certainly a great opponent to have as a good measuring stick, in my opinion, as well as Miami, who is the backtown, Archtown, couple down the street rival.
Yeah, we got the 4 hour time, and we got the 4 hour drive. I mean, I'm from South Florida originally. I grew up with I have some family members that are Miami fans. A lot of my close friends are Miami fans. I'm probably the only Florida State fan in my immediate family, even though I have some cousins from my mom's side that came from Panama over here to go to medical school over here at Tallahassee. Wow. But yeah, I think with Clemson, I know not a lot of FSU fans are gonna like me for saying this. I really didn't view them as a rival up until the Dabo era. I know there was the Bowden Bowl when Bob Bowden's son was formerly the head coach actually over at Clemson. But I mean, Clemson was a team that you would beat up on, and then we had a term called Clemsoning where they would be so close, and then everything would just fall apart. But since when Dabo took over and he turned it around about in 2012, 2013 when he fired what's his name, Kevin Steele, and brought in Brent Venables and Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott, that's actually when he started cooking all 4 cylinders. So with Clemson keeping the 3, I love that. Miami, as you know, Miami-Florida State probably is a top 5 football rivalry in my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. I can't stand orange and green almost as much as I can't stand orange and blue. So I can't stand the color orange because, everything's orange. But overall, to me, with Miami, you got to keep that because that's basically where your majority of both of your rosters are South Florida kids. These are kids that grew up playing each other in Pop Warner, middle school, high school, and then on the field in college. And that's something that, you can't write any better. I would have preferred Georgia Tech because it's right there in Atlanta. We have a lot of Atlanta, Seminoles, alumni based there. My only concern probably would have been for that, which is probably the same thing as the admin, was that if you have a game in Georgia Tech every other year, you might have less fans go to Tallahassee because it's right there next to them. So maybe Syracuse is probably a better fit for the market.
Well, it's funny you mentioned a couple of things. Let's start with the orange. All of your opponents where have orange in their combinations, so I can definitely sense the energy there. But more than that, you really hit the nail on the head when it came to your guys being recruited and wanting to play Miami versus Florida State matchups, and that being a tradition. You don't stop tradition. And I think when you talk about football and where you're trying to bring the money, I said yesterday, I think Commissioner Phillips is trying his best to make football king in our conference. Now, if you listen to Monday's episode, you realize that I don't think that we'll ever be the king of football. I think we just need to love our men's basketball space, really our women's basketball space as well. Shout out to NC State. But listen to me, if we're going to try, you might as well keep the tradition popping.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I don't think the ACC is going to be first and foremost a football conference. And I think it's for
Ever,
most of the
ever.
ever.
Yeah.
Because I think for the exact reason that you said, I love football more than basketball, but I completely understand where when it comes to teams like Duke and UNC, and when they're the flagship of your entire Syracuse as well, Louisville and NC State now kind of with their women's program, that you can see that the seams in the fabric of the entire conference begins and ends on the hardwood.
Yeah.
And that's hard to compete, especially with basically the NCAA, also with the men's tournament, like March Madness. I mean, we thought the AC had a down year, I said on Monday, but then we had 6 or 7 teams in the Elite Eight, like at the end of the day. So, and then with football, yeah, we have Clemson, we got FSU, we got Miami. FSU didn't become part of the ACC until the 90s. Miami didn't come part of the ACC till I think 2005. So, quite frankly, you have these blue-blooded football programs, but they haven't been part of the ACC since their inception.
Yeah.
So overall, I think to me, as much as I would like it to be that way, and also working in an athletic department, I understand football brings in the most money financially and supports the rest of the sports.
Yeah.
Basketball will always and forever be king, actually, for the ACC.
Yeah, I completely agree there. You know, I think that when you look at the Florida States and Miami's and coming into the ACC, and Miami have yet winning a national a conference championship, I think that this definitely makes for a better playing field. Even though a lot of people say this is the year that Miami is going to do it, so I know you you're probably not of that majority, and that's okay. Neither was AJ Black. If you listened to yesterday's show, he was
I
not
did.
feeling. He was thinking we're a little too hype on the games, and I'm pretty sure you would concur that sentiment.
Listen, okay. My opinion on the people saying the U is back, the U is back, the U is back. The U isn't going to be back until you win the entire damn thing. Because growing up down here, that was kind of the standard I could see from my side of the family, and also seeing all my friends down here.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been saying that every damn year since 2001. You guys have not won a relevant big time bowl game since what? The Champs Sports Bowl, like in the teens, and you brought that trophy on recruiting trips? Like Mario Cristobal, great coach. I think it was a great hire, and he is killing it with recruiting right now. No question. Landing Jaden Rashada, landing the Ray Joseph kid, the decommit, the four-star wide receiver. And as well as I think they're definitely going to be landing I think the kid Hakeem Williams, and maybe Raylan Wilson as well. Josh Gass, great OC hire. I think that's, quite frankly, that staff, it does worry me a little bit, but I need to see you guys prove it out on the field, because y'all lost to a 5-7 Florida State team last year they had no damn business losing to. So, you know what? We'll see what happens next this coming year.
100% agree there. My two thoughts are what I would love to ask you as we're going here, trying to transition into topics. But you mentioned Florida State is definitely maybe not a forever stakeholder in the ACC. With this shift in this model, do you think it helps ads and all the event management people say, hey, maybe we can stick around a little bit longer. Maybe we don't have to test the waters. Maybe we aren't trying to join, the SEC or the Big 12 or other conferences down, south. Maybe we can just stick it out and figure out how to make the ACC better.
I think it might help in the stronger sense, because I do think it allows, the Atlantic was always the far superior division between the two. Whoever I think FSU finished 10-2 twice and was second place, and it was already was if we had done it this way before, we would have played Clemson twice in the ACC championship game for a rematch. So that definitely helps our revenue wise. It helps our perception wise too, putting on the big stage. And also we probably would have one more CFP appearance if that was the case too. But I think overall it's difficult primarily because I think FSU, I think back in the teens, the FSU flirted with the Big 12 to actually move over to that conference, which would have been super interesting, because now you see UCF is actually going over there now. I think UCF is making a strong push to be part of turn the big 3 Florida schools into a core 4 of Florida schools. And with FSU, I think that it's a Southern school. Its primary focus is football. It's always going to be football. I think even baseball will probably be a close second, primarily because as much as we love Coach Ham, once Coach Ham leaves, I don't know if we're going to have the same sort of commitment to come to the basketball program, which is going to crush me because I love that man to death. So,
will you not have the same commitment because you're going to kick Norvell out and you're going to find a coach that's actually going to help y'all win multiple games? Or
say one more time?
Are you going to kick once Ham goes? Are you going to kick Norvell out so you can really pour into the football program and see how it goes?
So with the new AD, he made a splash hire with Link Jarrett. So I think this man is not afraid of spending money. And I'm of the belief that the way he spent money on basically Link Jarrett, he fired Mike Martin Jr., who was the son of a much beloved legacy head coach. The head coach Mike Martin, his dad, this field is named after him. So he's not afraid of doing that. So I think the moment that I think this will be Norvell's last year, but I think also with Coach Ham, I think he's more the inkling that he'll probably find someone that's a little bit younger, maybe Dennis Gates over Missouri, who was actually on the staff before. Because basically, I think with A.D. Alford is someone that values fundraising heavily, and I think that's someone that he'll bring in for the basketball program to basically help them out. But when it comes to basically Norvell, yeah, I could see him definitely canning Norvell, maybe finding a younger, cheaper option for him, someone that still moves the needle, but definitely be going big game hunting because I think on the short list, honestly, for that next coach probably be someone like Lane Kiffin, David Aranda, or maybe even in-house Alex Atkins.
No doubt. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30 to 50 to even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer, so go explore their easy-to-use website to find the solution for your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now, see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right locked on in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliability, low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Please visit rockauto.com. We're rocking and rolling here with Locked On Seminoles hosts. I almost said AJ Black. I'm so sorry. Drizzy Drake.
Damn, girl,
it's Friday.
Like?
I know. It's one of those days where it's like, oh, you're recording at a time where your brain is hit like sort of fog mode, but you make it do what it do. I'm so glad though that we get to have the conversation around the ACC and the new football model because we touched on it lightly yesterday, but definitely want to bring it here again and talking about Notre Dame and does this entice them to want to come over here and be a part of our conference? Now that it's a fair, you don't have to be a part of anybody's division. You don't have to have the same sort of group maybe for the next 4 years. Like you can just do what you do. We can squeeze you right in one more little spot. Maybe you can give Notre Dame and Wake Forest a matchup, and Wake Forest wouldn't be as upset and their fans wouldn't be as pissed off because I definitely would be. I think it'd be an opportunity to just really get a good test of where your program is based on how Marcus Freeman and Fighting Irish are doing.
What does Notre Dame though get from actually joining the conference overall? Already they already make one of the tougher schedules in the country. Being basically going around, they basically play USC every year. They do the ACC stuff already because basically we already have an agreement with them. Hey, you don't have to join us or give us any of your money, but you guys get to play us. So basically get some legitimacy. So you'd have to revisit that contract. And if you're Notre Dame, would you get out of that? And also, would you share the revenue you get from your TV channel on NBC Sports? Because you're going to have to do that if you join the ACC. So it's kind of like, what did they actually gain from this overall? Because if it's legitimacy they want, they will go over to Big Ten because that's kind of more up their alley. It's in their area. It's also academically wise a little bit stronger too.
That's a good point. I never really thought about them being in the Big Ten, but now that you say that and how it's mapped out, I definitely could see that. My only thoughts here is if you want to win a conference championship, you might as well figure out and find a happy home with people that you already play. Because we're looking at college football playoff conversation to where we're wanting the top 4 teams and everybody has their rhyme and reason of why someone should or should not make, the Final Four. And it feels like 3 are solid, 2 SEC and 1 Big Ten, right? Mm-hmm. And then the 4th is a G5 who you're like, well, damn, they got undefeated. Optics say we have to include them. Not saying that they're not undeserving, not saying that they shouldn't be in this bad boy. Very good timing. How'd you know I was going to say this today? But because, we're trying to give the little guy a chance, for lack of better understanding and jargon. So my sentiment is join a conference, go ahead to a conference championship, and then what can people say about you?
I mean, that's fair. And they play them all, like you're saying, the familiarity is always there. And you still have the rivalries. I mean, one of the games of the centuries is FSU Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame Miami. I mean, Catholics and convicts, the storyline writes itself. It's just more, I think, with the expansion of with the 4-team playoff, I mean, we should be expanding it within the next, 3 to 4 years. to 12 teams. Maybe I can tell by that face. You don't think so, but I definitely think that if that happens, which I have a strong feeling it will, it's like that's I don't know. I just think Notre Dame, they are very happy just, being solo dolo doing what they want right now. I will say, like, without a conference championship, it does hurt you in the CFP thing. And maybe that's a question that Notre Dame, with Marcus Freeman, with their boosters, with their alumni, is like, hey, do we actually want to legitimately be at the top of the top? So maybe we actually have to have that conversation and join a conference.
Whoop, there it is. Well, if Marcus Freeman were to join our conference, I would not be sad one bit. Do you
I love that dude.
understand me?
I
Yes.
love that
I
dude.
think we love him for different reasons, but that's okay.
Oh,
Love
he's
him
good
all the
dude.
same.
Man's got a great smile.
So as we mentioned on yesterday's show, we were talking a little bit about the 3-5-5 model and some of the staple teams that get to play each other. You'll see the Virginia Tech matchup still. You'll see the North Carolinas and the NC States and the Dukes of the world. And I think, while Wake Forest got the low end of the stick, I look at teams like Pitt, who got Boston College, Syracuse, and Virginia Tech. To me, some of these, when you look at the roster and who you have matched up, you're kind of better off. Like, you are sitting in a really good spot to have, like, I don't want to say 3 gimmies, but definitely 3 where it's like, okay, every year it's pretty evenly matched up. Were there any that you looked at where that you were like, okay, damn, it sucks for you, or good challenge, I'm ready for it?
So Duke got screwed. If we're being completely honest.
Not the Duke football. To me, I think it was going to be difficult for them no matter who you picked.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. But I am very glad that I don't have to see NC State anymore every single damn year, because that right now with Doran and what they're doing right now, terrifying. UNC, I mean, UNC could come back, when they're bringing a new QB. We'll see how Drake May and Jacob Criswell are. And I think Wake Forest is kind of made out like bandits here, in my personal opinion. I think Wake Forest has found something really nice with Dave Clawson. And they're recruiting, I don't know if you know, they're top 20 on 247 Sports overall, which is something that I would never thought I would say about Wake Forest football. And they get Duke, not good. Georgia Tech, Jeff Collins about to get fired. Virginia Tech, new head coach, and I think they have a 4-player race right now for starting QB.
Yeah.
So that overall, and then you have the nerds, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Virginia, Wake Forest. They got the little Brain Bowl down there, maybe a little Brain Bowl trophy. I love that. But overall, I think the ACC actually did a really, really damn good job overall. I just think maybe Louisville might be a little mad they had to play Miami. So,
well, listen, I really thought that Florida State should play Miami. They should play NC State, and they should play Clemson. Like, to me, they had to give you They had to give you a gimme in Syracuse, right? They had to give you a gimme. When I look at NC State, I'm like, damn, Clemson, because of last year's matchup, and almost solidified that y'all have to be around each other. And I think about the time the old buddy missed that kick, and NC State almost upset like undefeated Clemson. And so I'm like, okay, this is one for the books. But if you have not been to an NC State Wake Forest game, whoo, buddy, that rivalry runs about as deep as NC State ECU or NC State North Carolina.
Okay, I was about to ask about that because I didn't know that until yesterday. I was talking about it with Cam Lemons-DeBro for Wake Forest. And I'm like, I did not know it was that deep between the two of them. I did not know that.
Oh, yes.
There's some they sound like me talking about Florida, and I'm like, that's a lot of hate right there.
Yeah, it's animosity because, Florida, Wake Forest is like the pom-pom school of North Carolina. North Carolina State is where a lot of the people who can get into UNC go. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But state school, then you got Wake Forest, that's private. And then you got Duke, that's private. So those are like the hoity-toities. And so Wake Forest, of course, in many categories feels like they're superior. And so NC State, of course, more blue-collar folks feel like, okay, well, excuse me, who y'all think y'all are? So the rivalry is real. The last year's game with all the Atlantic Division implications that were on top of it were very much real. You felt all of that energy. And normally games where you're like, oh, the refs blew it. That was one where I was like, ooh, refs. Ooh, hate to be when I was watching the game, I was like, ooh, hate it had to be you. So say all that to say. It's been very interesting in terms of that rivalry. And I really wish they would have kept that one around.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes a little sense because I also saw that Devin Leary only had 5 picks overall for the entire season. 2 of them were against Wake Forest, so you kind of could see how that's a weird thing about rivalry games, where basically it brings the worst out of you or the best out of you, then it's never in between. So that's actually interesting. But I kind of wanted to ask you, when you see teams like Duke, Georgia Tech, and then maybe to an extent Virginia, and then or maybe Boston College, do you feel like this is the way they kind of gave them a more difficult road, possibly? That this is the ACC telling them that, hey, we know y'all aren't the football schools. So here's just some teams that kind of help you out, basically revenue-wise, and kind of, so you can know your place actually in the conference in football.
Well, with Duke, I feel like revenue is never going to be their issue because of just who they are. Virginia,
Yeah,
damn near the same thing. But for Virginia, I feel like it's a very good test for Coach Elliott as he goes into his first season, or he'll be going into his second season, after this. So I really just think like, okay, this is the time to really put yourself more on the map in terms of these key wins. Because with North Carolina, sometimes you catch a slip in on a Halloween night, right? But Louisville, depending on how Coach Satterfield does and continues to grow that program with how they're really good recruits it seems like they're on the right track to keep him around and actually build some studs around Malik Cunningham and company if he does decide to stay. So I think those are the type of things where you like turn your head like, all right, listen, maybe some of these schools are going to either build themselves up or find themselves having a very quick and early off season. But either way it goes, I'm kind of excited about it.
And I'm excited about it too. I'm just glad the divisions are gone. So now we know actually who the top two teams are, and it's not just Clemson versus whoever gets the luxury, the blessing of getting beat up by Clemson by 20 points.
1,000% agree there. Now, BetOnline is your number one source for all of your betting needs. So if you're looking to get in on any of these early predictions in terms of ACC football, you should head over there. BetOnline is your continued source for sports wagering, live betting, esports, all of your favorite games from MMA, boxing, and even golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline is simply where the game starts. So wrapping up and finishing, there it is. How my transition words going? We are wrapping up here. Locked on Someone Else host, Drizzy Drake. I feel like I said it when I'm excited and I'm having a good time. So it's all good. But as we look towards football, right? I've been excited about the season, way too early predictions, and clearly we're a year and a half out before this even kicks off. But top two teams, to me, if I'm sitting here looking at the whole conference, who is going to be fighting and clawing for those top spots every year? If you could already go throw it out there the next couple of years.
For the next couple of years. Okay, I was about to ask that.
Yeah.
So I think for right now, I'm not going to put NC State up there mainly because I think they're going to be third or fourth because I want to see who replaces Devin Leary because I think Devin Leary is very integral to that entire offense.
True.
I'm going to say Clemson because I think Clay Klubnik might be that dude. And if DJU is able to kind of replicate what he was his freshman year, he will be that dude. So I will go with him. And then the next one, that's actually really, really tough.
Yeah.
Keaton Slovis, I think, has 2 more years left, right?
Will he stay? Probably, but it depends.
Yeah,
I think the loss of Jordan Addison is going to be huge.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's gone. Damn it. All right. So I would love to say us. Yeah. I would. I really, really would. And I think that this year for 2023 is going to be immense for Mike Norvell. I think 2022 is going to be good. I think this is going to be probably the best season we've had in a while. But I think the team with the brightest future immediately and then for the next 2-3 years.
I know.
I think it might be Miami. And I think it might be Miami primarily because, and I hate to say that. And listen, if I'm wrong, you know what that means? That means they suck and that means they do everything like I always say. But listen, with Miami, I think they made a very damn good hire in Cristobal. I think you see right now with the recruiting trail, what it's showing out. I think Josh Gass is an OC who's going to be a head coach in waiting somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think Tyler Van Dyke, he seems like some guy. If he balls out this year, he might stay. But also if he goes, they have Jake Garcia in the back pocket, Ja'Cory Brown. They have Jaden Rashad, who's at Elite 11 right now, with Emory Williams, another kid in the committed class. The offense might be really good with Jalen Knight, Don Chaney for 2 more seasons. All it means is, though, we got to see how that defense is overall with Kevin Steele because apparently the defensive line outside Larry Taylor, it ain't good. But because other than that, I don't know who else I really would pick. Maybe it would be NC State, but like I said, I need to know who their backup QB is going to be after Devin Leary because after him, I have no idea who they have.
There's a lot of unanswered questions because I think this year is a very big year for some of the teams on the fringe, like the Boston Colleges of the world, right? The Wake Forests, can they be consistent? And the last year with Sam Hartman, like how do they transition from that? Will Keaton Slovis pick up right where Kenny Pickett left off? Yeah, well. maybe.
I mean, Sam Hartman's going to come. He's been wild.
Year 8. Okay. This is actually the last year he can't. Okay. Anyway, you also have Keaton Slovis and Pitt, and figure out whether or not they can repeat what Kenny Pickett brought to the table. In Louisville, again, I say, if the recruiting is doing like it seems to be, is Satterfield going to stick around? And if he's not going to stick around, are you going to have the recruits come on and say, hey, I'll stick around with the coach that comes? Always very interesting questions. But I think for me, overall, I'm excited to see Clemson and NC State and Florida State and Miami. And I really wish I could pray for North Carolina to be in the conversation, but I don't even want to fake like this. So I'm just going to hope we have a good one.
It's going to be those 4. And I think right now you're seeing a different commitment to football from all 4 of those schools, especially, Florida State and Miami, where they're kind of attacking basically not only on the field stuff, but also your support staff, basically your athletic administrations. I mean, you have John Ruiz out there literally just single-handedly recruiting kids with NIL offers and everything else out there. Allegedly. No, he's out there doing actually a good thing, great thing. But, I mean, we'll see how it is, but those are definitely the top 4 to look out for the next few years, because the rest of the ACC, and we talked about it last night on Locked On Seminoles, they're very interchangeable. We're just going to wait to see if there's another team that can kind of separate themselves from the pack. Yeah. And I think with UNC, honestly, you might have hit your ceiling with Mac Brown 2 years ago. And maybe, because you're in a very talent-rich area. Mac Brown's a good recruiter, but do you have someone else that can come in and basically kind of push them forward? Because, I mean, it's Jordan Blue. It's UNC Tar Heel Blue. You're able to get it through.
I'm not going to dignify that with the response. We're just going to end. Maybe we come back next week. I'll have my nice, nasty response. But I don't got it right now. I will have it next week, though. You best believe I'm kicking off the show responding to you saying that Mac Brown, we've hit our ceiling as the Tar Heels football. Okay, cool. Glad we had this talk. Can you please remind these folks where they can find you, follow your work?
Seminoles fans, I got you. That was for y'all. Hey, we're the least sensitive fan. No, I'm not even going to go to there. But you can follow me at Tally__Drake. You can follow my co-host at MaxMoody17. You can follow the podcast at Knowles Anonymous, where we're basically engaged with our fans, talk about themes for episodes. We are mandatory mailbag Mondays, and as always, we're fans first, people second, podcasters third. And Candace, I'm sorry. Come on, it's from a good place.
Oh, listen, I have not lost a wink of sleep yet for a Seminole person. I don't plan to do it anytime soon. So, it's all love over here. Just know, I really don't lose a wink. But I really love that you guys engage with the comments and you guys have wars in them. Always be polite. Like, I think we have a good time, except for my man Tom, who said I was boring. But needless to say, it's okay.
That's that guy. No, Tom, we don't need you. You don't need
your energy, Tom. It's all right. I think everyone who is negative, I'm just going to name them Tom. I'm like, oh, we got another Tom up in here getting a little too rowdy. But needless to say, guys, have a great weekend. Come back next week as we continue to talk, and we're going to be close to ending our summer break. So that means we're going to be in the full thick of having all the 19 to 20 episodes that you love. But for now, catch up on all of these summer classics. You get 12 a month, and so we're going to make it shake and make it do what it do. We appreciate you as always for Candace Cooper and Drizzy Drake. Until next time.